Yo, what up, Toji here. In today's video, we're going to be doing a pre-farm guide for JINHSI, and I'll talk about what I'm going to do personally for my account. We do have a new event that we're going to hop into later in the video. I'm going to show you the echoes I do get from said event. It is a double drop for echoes. You also get double drops for the materials, so on and so forth. And we're going to take advantage of the upcoming features in the next patch to build the best version of JINHSI. Now, before we do hop into all of this, I want to mention one thing about JINHSI. She is going to be our strongest damage dealer upon her debut, so it's very important that you actually min-max this character comparative to the other characters you already have in your account, because she's going to be the hardest hitting damage dealer we have received yet. And the reason why she is the hardest hitting damage dealer, of course, is because she has one of the highest burst multipliers, if not the highest burst multiplier in the game, and she also has very strong skills that can then be amplified from pre-existing skill buffers in the game, like for instance Talki. She also works really nicely with characters that just buff your overall damage, because it's going to buff all of your kit, such as Verena, and then characters like, of course, anyone that gives attack percentage works really well too. Alright, so I'm using JINHSI and the Celestial Light set, which is going to be a set that most players are going to be using for JINHSI. Probably the only set you should use, I recommend. Now, obviously, if you can't get the 4-piece Spectro, obviously if you can get the 5-piece Spectro, which compared to other games is like 4-piece, right? Honkai Star is a 5-piece. No, excuse me, 4-piece. It's 4-piece and 2-piece. 4-piece for the Relic set, and then 2-piece for the Planar set. Whereas this game is 5 out of 5. So of course it's harder to meet that criteria you need to get the 5 out of 5. I completely understand. So what I would recommend is just having a 2-piece Spectral damage and a 2-piece attack. If you do struggle with getting that 5 out of 5, you will lose out on some overall DPS, but you will still have relatively high DPS, even higher DPS, depending on how good your substats are for your 2-piece, right? And 2-piece I would recommend, of course, is the 2-piece attack percentage. I do have a 2-piece attack percentage on my Yang. I use her on a 2-piece already, so I would do the same thing for, I was about to say Verena again, JINHSI, if you do not have a 5 out of 5. But anyways, if you do have 5 out of 5, it's recommended 1 Morning Ix or AIX, and I would get the crit rate. So we are receiving a new echo for JINHSI that you can then use as a supplement for either her already usable Morning Ix, or you can just replace it with this, or you can put the Morning Ix and you can put the Sentinel Jui alongside each other for a 4-4-1-1 build, which means you'll have either crit damage. I mean, if you have crit damage, goddamn, first of all, how do you have that many crit rate substats? Absolutely insane. So that means for my future JINHSI build, I'm going to have a crit rate main and then another crit rate main, and I'm going to have a bunch of 1-star attack pieces. So right now I do have 2 spectral damage bonuses. Let's just say that my crit rate main stat for the new boss ends up just being extremely good with amazing substats, and maybe these pieces already roll good. You can still use a 4-3-3-1-1 build and it'll work fine. It may even work better depending on how good your substats actually are, but that is a tier min-maxing that you have to decide whether or not you want to do for your account. I did say that it is a good idea to min-max JINHSI, and I do mean that, and I do stand by that, because she's going to be the strongest damage dealer we have in the game for quite some time. But again, ask yourself, how much do you want to actually invest into the character? Because we do have Cheng-Li upcoming afterwards, and we do have future characters after that. So, I mean, again, we are dried for resources in this game, and it is still hard to level up echoes and all of that jazz, let alone for one character, right? So there is no better way than today to get echoes from the new Core Cleansing event, which is the double drop rewards you do get for the tacit fields of the echoes. So obviously go for the Spectro Echo set, and it so happens to be right next to the 2-piece attack set. So you can use a 2-piece attack and then 2-piece Spectro if you choose to do that. If you don't get two like really good 5 out of 5 for Spectro. But I'm personally going to do a 5 out of 5 because I do already have a 5 out of 5 set. Now there is one thing I will say: if you are someone that does not like min-maxing, you can go for a main stat only build and worry about substats later. That is definitely feasible. That's kind of what I do with a lot of my characters. You can clutch a lot of the crit rate and crit damage and the crit stats you'll need from just the main stats alone if you are using a 4-4, right? 4-4 build. And also you can get the crit stats from her weapon too, or whatever weapon you do choose to use, whether it's the BP or her personal best in slot 5-star weapon, right? Remember, we are getting a free 10 pull for Weapon Banner next patch. So you can look out and pull her 5-star weapon, which we'll then cover in just a second. Alrighty, so I just got done farming the tacit fields for the echoes from the double drop echo event. Now I'm going to show all the echoes I did end up receiving and lock the ones that I want to use potentially in JINHSI. This one is fusion damage bonus on the spectral set. This can be trash. I don't want to really get any attack percentage, especially with this being very early on into the runs for the event. So obviously I'm going to hold off on trying to get a 2-piece. But if I happen to not find anything for a 5 out of 5, then I'll go with the 2-piece, of course. This one is energy regen for the spectral damage. I mean, I could just hold this and maybe use it on Verena at some point in the future, but I don't think I would use this on any other character, right? Havoc damage bonus on Spectral, obviously you hate to see it. It really is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Electro damage, you hate to see it. It is what it is. Hopefully your runs are definitely better than mine. Again, I'm not really looking at any of these attack percentage stats. This one here is Moonlit Clouds. Very unfortunate. I did not really receive anything thus far. This one right here is defense percent. Very unfortunate. HP percent. HP. I mean, it is what it is. Attack percentage on the attack set. I mean, unlucky. It is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and then convert all of these echoes to echoes I can potentially roll and get lucky getting, right? From the 5, you can convert 5 echoes to 1 echo later. But now that I have done my runs for the double drop echo event, so what I'm going to do daily, right, leading up to the banner, is take the rest of my wave plates, because you should have 60 at this point, depending on how many times you log in. If you log in like once a day, you'll have 240 around this time. You end up spending 180. You can then use the last 60 you do have to farm out some of the LG Tacit Core, which you can then use to ascend your JINHSI. Ascend JINHSI in the future. You use the same material to ascend Arena, but you can use this material to ascend JINHSI as well. And it's also the perfect opportunity to get your 4-4 build, because then you'll have either create or crit damage main stat from this boss for the 5-star echo, right? So boom, I just killed the boss. Then I could then use my wave plate energy to then claim rewards and then get the ascension materials I do need for JINHSI. But since I already have around enough, I'm not going to do it. And I don't even have enough mana or enough wave plate. It's such a weird name for a stamina resource. I'm so used to resin, all of that jazz. Attack percentage, I can't use this, so I'm going to trash it. But this is going to be the gist of what I would do daily for the pre-farm for JINHSI. And of course, you can do other stuff. Like, for instance, let's just say you already have all the materials you do need to ascend JINHSI, right, for her levels, which you can then use your wave plate on instead, because obviously you don't want to really overinvest into echoes when they're giving us a double drop echo event. And you can use the last 60 you have on echoes if you choose to do that. You get more echo XP. It really isn't the worst thing in the world. But what I do instead to min-max, so the Eroded Ruins is going to give you the material you need to ascend these skills of JINHSI. It gives you the Wave-Worn Residue 239, the Wave-Worn Residue 235, and the lower tiers of the Wave-Worn Residue. What a very interesting name. There's so many interesting names in this game. Man, it's just hard to pronounce all of these names these days. But this material you'll be using to ascend the skills of JINHSI. So it's not a bad idea to use the 60 of the wave plate you do have for your daily stamina, right? Use that rest on this here if you do already have all of her ascension mats acquired. But let me get out of here for this boss kicks my ass again. Alright, but wrapping up here, we just did the echoes for JINHSI. We took advantage of the echo event, so we have more echoes to gear her with. We do have a potential boss echo we can use, obviously, as attack percentage, but let's pretend it was crit rate. We'll then look towards getting the other echo from the boss we can use for the 4-4-1-1-1 build, or you can do the 4-3-3, 1-1, whatever you choose to do. It doesn't really matter as long as you have the best stats you can achieve to your ability, right? I will then look towards getting the character the ascension mats she does need, but since I already have the ascension mats farmed out, then I'll get the skill mats I do then need for the character to level up her skills. But lastly, I already have all that ready to go. So what else do I need to pre-farm for JINHSI to have the best build I can have day one? Well, the last thing you of course need to do is make sure she has a good weapon. But since I already have a solid leveled up weapon, I did end up buying the BP. I can just use the BP weapon I do have on my Jiyan, snatch it off him, and just give it to my JINHSI because it has crit main stat. But let's just say you're not very fortunate because Kuro Game took advantage of you as a free-to-play player. And they're trying to get you to spend money because the weapons in this game suck for free-to-play. Hero Game is giving us a free 10 pull for the weapon banner, as we went over in the previous video. It's going to be the limited weapon banner, right? You can then use that 10 pull to maybe try your luck and snipe her 5-star best in slot early, but there is no 50-50 in the banner, so even if you have to go to pity, it's still a solid investment for a character that is going to be a long stay on your account, because she is our first Spectro DPS, and most likely going to be our only Spectro DPS for a very long time. And since she is the Magistrate of JINHSI, she should be very fitting lore accurate wise of being a strong individual character, right? Now, I want to wrap it up by saying one thing, because let's just say you don't want to invest into the weapon banner because you want to pull Shangli in the same patch, or maybe just have no pulls because JINHSI took you all the way to hard pity. First of all, you have my condolences. That's very unfortunate. And second of all, I do have an alternative for you. If you're like me, you'll be very close, maybe already at this point, where you do have the 5-star weapon selector, and you can choose the 5-star weapon from the selector. And it's all the weapons from the standard weapon banner. You have the 5-star sword, 5-star blood blade, 5-star gauntlet, 5-star gun, 5-star, rectifier, right? Whatever you choose can be the weapon you use for your characters. But let's just say you're looking to give JINHSI the weapon she needs, and I would go for the broad blade from this here, because the broad blade you get from here is going to be good for JINHSI, because while it does buff your resonance liberation damage, JINHSI is a character that does a ton of damage with her resonance liberation. So therefore, you can take advantage of the passive from the weapon and boost the character's overall damage, while taking advantage of the fact that it's a 5-star weapon, so you have higher base stats, and you have a higher main stat from the weapon as well than you would have from a 4-star weapon. So I would do that if I were you. And of course, we do get a free 10 pull next patch as well from the standard banner, so you can use that 10 pull in the standard weapon banner and maybe snipe a weapon early from that too. Just make sure you do have your 5-star broad blade selected, because the last thing you do want is to get the Cosmic Ripples, not even knowing that you had that selected, and then you have to equip it on your Encore, because let's just say you forgot to swap it and you don't have Yinlin on your account, so now you have Encore with Cosmic Ripples. Yeah, it's not going to be a fun day, is it? Well, that's going to be the video here. I hope you enjoyed this pre-farm guide for JINHSI. I tried to explain everything to best of my ability. I don't think we really left out anything else aside from the way you would build her teammates and characters, and the characters you use in the same team party. Of course, that's very important when JINHSI does roll around. You don't really need to worry about that right now. Once she does launch, we'll go over all of that jazz, and we'll pair up with all the characters in the game to see what is going to be her best pairing or her preferred pairing, or pairings you can use. If you're like me and you don't really care about what's the best or what's the most optimal, or rather what's the most fun, right? So, the video here. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and have a nice rest of your day. Peace.